look at me in sympathy. I'm glad that I'm this way. For I feel good and I'm knocking on wood as long as I can say. I mix light fantastics up with hot gymnastics. I'm Peg-Leg Bates, the one-leg dancing man.
Welcome to another edition of Our World. I'm your host, Darryl Davis. On today's show, we're going to be looking at legendary entertainer Peg-Leg Bates. And in studio, we have three very special guests here to talk about his legacy and the work that they're doing today to continue that. I want to welcome you guys to the microphone. Brother Darryl Banks, Brother Jimmy Mack, and Brother James Bryson. How you guys doing?
Oh,
hey,
good.
what's going on, Darryl? What's going on, Darryl? Glad to be here.
Yeah. This work, when I heard about it from Brother Darryl and also Jimmy Mack, I remember actually going to a resort. I don't think it was this one, but at the time they were telling me that there was only one or two black-owned resorts, and that Peg-Leg Bates owned one of them, or founded one of them. And a lot of people don't know that. They don't understand that, you know, not only was he a legendary entertainer, but he was an astute business person. And I think a lot of people miss the connection between being a smart business person and being an entertainer. But you guys are trying to continue his legacy and get the word out there as to what's going on.
Yeah, that's correct. In fact, James could tell you more than I can. It was James who told me about it and told my brother about it initially. And it was brought to me, and I thought it was such a fantastic thing that they were trying to do it. But of course, I'm going to let James tell you the rest.
Well, just before you jump into that, for our listeners who may not know Peg-Leg Bates' history, just talk a little bit about who he was and what he did.
Yeah, Peg-Leg Bates come out of South Carolina. I think it's found in South Carolina. And he lost his leg at an early age. But he was a dancer, and he continued to dance. And over the years, in the early 40s and 50s, he was dancing along with the top stars, what they call hoofers, and he used to do all the resorts up in the Catskills, basically owned by Jews, and he realized that there was no place in the Catskills for black people to go. So Peg-Leg Bates and Mom's Mabley, and if I'm correct, Mom's Mabley owned a piece of property up there, which Peg-Leg Bates bought from her, and he started the Peg-Leg Bates Resort up there for blacks. And in the late 40s, early 50s, and early 60s, the place was so popular because it was basically the only place that blacks could go. And it was so popular that it was almost impossible to get a piece of a square foot of grass up there. I remember as a kid, when the bus stopped, everybody was running to try to get a spot to set up, lay their blankets down. But anyhow, how I got involved is I belong to an organization that runs a boys and girls camp at Peg Leg Bates. It's called Freedom Retreat, and we're up there the month of July and the first part of August. Well, anyhow, the place is still there, but our people have a tendency to look for the 5-star European resorts, and they're not coming up there now. But the place has so much history, and New York State, they even named Highway 209 Peg Leg Bates Way.
Nice. That's powerful. That's powerful. Yeah. So, where's everything at now in terms of the resort, the camp? How are you guys doing in terms of keeping that work going?
Basically, through some people, donate money. The camp is operated at minimum cost because the main problem is we want to get the kids up there, and most of the kids don't have that $1,000, $2,000 that other camps cost. So last year it was kept down to $750 for the 2 weeks. That's a sleeping camp, all meals included, all trips included. There's no extra cost other than that. Conscious people in the communities donate. We do fundraising, and that's how we are able, to operate. But
where can people send a check to that want to support you guys?
As it stands now, Miss Maddox, Leola Maddox, she's the one that runs the camp, and she's the one that you would have to send the money to.
Okay. You guys, before you leave us with a phone number or some kind of contact information that we can announce on future shows. Okay.
Definitely so. And of course, we just want to add to that what we're trying to do, of course, we're doing a documentary on Peg Leg and its heritage, and in doing so, we want to make sure that we want to capture the honesty of what the man did, and to say that he was a pioneer as far as an entertainer and a great humanitarian, because towards the end of his life, he took the camp and he gave it over, and he had the kids, of course, as James said, and the kids came up in the summertime and they did the overnight, of course. And my brother, I come to find out, went to the camp, as well as my older brother, okay? And Jimmy Mack, who was Mr. HBO, Mr. Saturday Night Live, performed there back in the day. When was that, Mack?
Well, first of all, if y'all got any money to save, you can send it to my house. I'll make sure the camp get a little bit of it. Yes, I did perform at Peg Leg Bates, and while I was there, I found out it has a lot of history to it. And I went up there. I got booked by a man named Mr. Randy Forrest, who was a principal at the Woodland School District, and he matter of fact, I met him up there. I got booked by a gentleman in Peekskill, and when I went up there, I noticed that on the wall they had pictures of Moms Mabry and Pygmy Morton, Frank Sinatra. It had Sammy Davis Jr. And people like that, and I was very impressed. I said, wow, all these people is on the wall. Jimmy Mack got to get his picture on this wall, And then I remember the stories, because I went up there with my grandfather. My grandfather and I, and my grandfather, Mr. James Vennings, and his two brothers were preachers in Brooklyn. They had big churches in Brooklyn. Well, not so big. They had about 3 people in their congregation, but that was big.
We like to say a growing
Yeah, they was
church.
growing. Nah, they were big. It was pretty big, and we took busloads of people up there, and this is what people used to do. All in the 50s and the 60s, this was the place to go. Like James said, it was no real place for blacks to go in the Poconos and in the Catskills. So he created this situation. Bumpy Johnson used to send buses up there. I don't know what he had on the buses, but you know, I don't know who was on the buses or under the buses, but you know, I mean, people like that all through Harlem, Harlemites and people from Harlem and Brooklyn and all over. Anybody you know, they know Peg Leg Banks. And one of the highlights, Peg Leg used to come out and dance with that one leg. Now some of y'all can't dance with 2 legs. And Peg Leg had one leg, and he used to dance. And you know, one thing about tap dance, this is something I studied being an entertainer. That tap dance was one of our first forms of entertaining, especially our white slave masters, and they would allow us to do that. But they didn't know that we were sending messages through the taps. See, we always see, when they took the drum away from us, we found things. We used to beat on our stomachs and our heads. and so the brothers knew how to pass messages through the taps. So, you know, I mean, it has a history. It has a real history to it.
Okay, hold that thought. We need to take a short break. You're listening to Our World on 1420 AM WLNA.